What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and learn about some weird facts about British culture. That's right, Britain. You're weird. Well, at least to us Americans, and weird in a good way. Like today, I'm very interested in learning about some ways that British life is different to American life. So, with that being said, let's take a look.
Number one is seeing the royal family seal of approval on branded items, just normal household items like
What?
chocolate or tea.
What is this? The Royal Seal of Approval? This looks like a coat of arms or something. By appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, purveyors of Heinz products, the Royal Seal is on ketchup in Britain? This is just like a normal thing in Britain? Does this mean... I have never heard of this before. Does this mean it literally has the stamp of approval of like the royal family in Britain? Like British royalty approves of this ketchup or this brand of tea, or what does this mean exactly? What?
Or something like that. And this is called the royal warrant. And it's given to brands that the royal family buys and uses on their day-to-day lives.
Oh, I was kind of joking, but that's actually the truth. These are brands that literally the royal family uses. It's almost like these brands are sponsored by the royal family in a way. They have the royal seal of approval. Man, what an amazing thing that would be to have on your product. Does that actually influence like British people's decision making in shopping, whether or not an item has the royal seal of approval? I wonder if that even really means that much to people, or if British people just choose the item that they like, you know. But I've never heard of this. I did not know that this was actually a thing.
For at least 5 years. It's quite an exclusive thing to get, and it's something that you see in all sorts of products around your house. Just look out for the coat of arms of the royal family, and the coat of arms will be different depending on which member of the royal family issued it. And I think it's
What? Are you kidding me? It literally different members of the royal family can choose their favorite products and give that product the royal seal, the royal coat of arms to like say, this is my favorite. Like the king has his favorite stuff, and the princes and princesses, and what? I had no idea that this was a thing. I'm a little bit shocked by this, but again, I'm not sure like how much of an actual impact this makes, like as far as marketing is concerned.
quite an interesting and cool thing, and totally unique as far as I know. Let me know if where you're from you have
Yeah.
something similar, a kind of seal of approval from the royal family or someone very important in your
No.
country. The only thing that I've seen branded in items are things like eco-friendly or fair trade, but never anything to do with a specific household seal of approval on.
I'm a little surprised that this is actually a thing. Like, isn't the royal family supposed to remain, like, unbiased, impartial, like in British society? And now they're like, hey, this is my favorite brand of eggs, brought to you by the king. Like, doesn't that give that brand an unfair advantage? Or, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too deeply about this, but I I've never heard of the royal stamp of approval, but apparently this is just like a normal thing in Britain, like no one even thinks about.
Products that we have in our own homes. I think it's quite cool, and whenever I see it, it's like it makes you feel like, oh, the Queen uses this, so I'm gonna buy it as well. I really like the royal
Is that true? Is that true? Do people think like, hey, the king uses this shampoo? Maybe I will. Like, is that actually a thought process?
Family, so I'm not opposed to buying products that they have recommended.
Huh.
If anything, it makes me want to buy it a little bit more because I know it's something that's been chosen and
Okay.
being that's gone through a process of approval, so it must be a really good brand. Number two,
Okay.
in the UK, you have to have a TV license to watch TV. That means you have to pay the
Huh?
BBC, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation, to watch television. If
What? A TV license? Is this like a driver's license? Like, please tell me you don't need to pass a test or an exam to watch television, to get a license to watch television. This is more like you have to purchase a subscription to watch TV from like the British government? Really?
you're from the UK, then what I'm saying is not groundbreaking, but it's not very common around the world. Some countries
No.
have TV licenses in Europe, but I don't know many countries that do.
What's the purpose of this? To make sure you are fit to watch TV? Or is this just a way to like make money, another form of taxation on watching television? Or so you have to pay this fee to the government for a TV license. That's funny for me to even say that phrase, TV license. And what, then you also have to pay like for cable or streaming services? It's just more fees and stuff. Is there any like practical purpose for this fee?
And one of the things that in modern days has changed about TV licenses, you don't have to be watching it on a physical television. You could be watching on your computer and
Yeah.
you would still need to buy a TV license. And you could be
Wow.
fined if you don't get a TV license, and it has to be renewed every year.
You would be fined. Like for a lot of Americans or other people who have like immigrated to the UK, I bet they often forget to do this and you can get in trouble apparently. I would definitely forget that this is a thing because there's just nothing there's nothing like this in American life. Like it's just another thing to remember. Making sure you renew your TV license. It sounds made up coming from my American point of view because we don't have anything like this.
You don't need a TV license for things like Netflix, Amazon Prime,
Oh,
or watching DVDs, or if you're watching catch up TV like ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5 on
okay.
iPlayer, unless it's live TV. And one of the interesting things about the BBC is that you don't get any adverts when you're watching BBC channels because it's
Oh.
funded by the TV license. It's not state funded, it's funded by the people, and that's
So this is really when you're watching state or government funded programming, like the BBC. And if you're watching streaming, you don't even have to worry about the TV license. Okay.
why they manage to stay impartial, and they're not owned by the government, so they are completely impartial. And I find that really
Okay.
interesting. My husband actually worked for the BBC years ago, so yeah, I find this subject fascinating. Number three, it's
Okay.
quite common to get all four seasons in one day in the UK. The weather is so unpredictable here.
What? I mean, I kind of can relate to this. In certain parts of the United States, you can get some pretty crazy weather. There's jokes about certain states in the United States where it's like, it can go from, it's tough to choose what you're going to wear for the day because you might be wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and by the end of the day, it's like freezing cold, and you need like a full-on jacket and long pants. All four seasons in one day, like even snowing, from snowing to sunshine in one day in Britain. Is this true?
And you could leave the house and it'd be glorious sunshine. A few minutes later, it could be really windy, like an autumn day. Then
Okay.
you'd get like a wintry downpour. You could even get snowfall in the
Okay.
night, and you could feel like you're experiencing all seasons in one day. And that is so bizarre for me. I come from the northeast of Brazil, where all I
Okay.
know is summer all year round.
Oh, okay. She's actually from Brazil, where it's very warm. Yeah, I think some Americans can relate to this a bit, like this, like 4 seasons over the course of one single day. At certain parts of the year, it definitely feels like that, and that's definitely possible in some parts of America too.
And I absolutely love British weather. I know so many people who tell me, "What are you doing here? Why did you come to the UK from Brazil where you have such nice weather?" And
Mm,
I just love the seasons. I love being able to see the change in weather. And yeah, I like
yeah,
summer as well, but it's definitely not my favorite.
that's true. If you spent your whole life growing up somewhere where it's always warm, it'd be kind of cool, like, and different, and kind of fun to live somewhere like the UK where you really get all 4 seasons. I actually agree with her. I think that's cool.
But I do love that aspect of the UK. I don't like it when I'm unprepared though, when I leave the house thinking it's going to be a lovely sunny day and it suddenly
Yes.
gets really, really cold, or the other way around.
Yes.
Number four, in the UK, you will see people use the word fortnight. A fortnight is a period of 2 weeks or 14 days.
Oh, it's a good thing she defined this because I don't know. In the United States, most of us Americans were aware of the word fortnight. Like, I know it's a word, and I know it means some length of time, but we never use this word. Ever. Like, ever. Unless you're talking about the video game or something. But an actual fortnight, I actually didn't remember what that meant even, but I've heard of it. I think most Americans are in a similar situation. It's 2 weeks. So, are there a lot of situations where you need to specifically like mention a 2 week period? Oh, I'm gonna come visit you in a fortnight. Like, is that a normal British conversation, or you actually use this word like in common language?
And I think, particularly in America, this is very uncommon. Let me
Yeah,
know if you
yeah.
use the word fortnight and where you're from,
No,
if you
no.
find it weird. I don't find it weird because I learned that word as part of learning English as a second language. But
Ah,
I can see how it can be a bit confusing if you've always used the word 2 weeks for a period of 2 weeks and
yes. Most Americans have heard this word, but most of us have no idea what it actually means. That's basically what it is.
then you come across people using the word fortnight and suddenly you question, why did you make up a word for a period of 2 weeks? So what is the word
Yeah.
for a period of 3 weeks? Is there a word for 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, 4 weeks is a month, but you see what I mean. It can get a bit confusing.
Yeah, I just don't think I would have much of a use for this word. I very rarely need to mention a 2 week period specifically. But I don't know, if this word was popular, maybe I would suddenly find myself using it or something. I don't know.
But I kind of like the word fortnight. Number five, in the UK, orange juice has bits in it. If you're not from the UK, you might be thinking,
Ugh.
what are you talking about?
What? And we're not talking about pulp? It's not pulp because in the United States we have orange juice that's just liquid, or you can get orange juice with pulp if you're strange. But in Britain, orange juice with bits in it? What does that mean?
So, if you look at an orange juice carton in the UK, it will say with or without bits.
It actually says no bits. The word bits. Like, we don't even use the word bits much, unless we're talking about bacon bits. But that's it.
In America or other parts of the world, you might see with or without pulp, which is
Yeah.
probably the correct name. But here we call them bits.
Oh, it's the same thing. What we call pulp, the UK calls bits. It's okay, just different words, but we are talking about the same thing. I thought that there were like solid bits of orange in the orange juice. I thought there were like, because when I hear the word bits, I think of like a solid little object, like a bit of an orange, a little piece. But pulp is kind of like, mushy and gooey and I don't much care for that either.
And don't think that you're buying orange juice with strange things inside. If it says with bits, it's just with pulp.
Okay.
My favorite is actually
Okay.
orange juice with bits. I always buy with bits, not without bits.
Ooh.
Number 6, in the UK, we have so many different names for pedestrian crossing or crosswalks, as you'd call it in America.
Yes.
They can be called zebra crossings, pelican crossing, toucan crossings, and there's a couple more that I can't remember.
What are we? Zebra crossing? Pelican crossing? What? I guess I can see where it looks like a zebra because it's like striped. I'm not sure. This is kind of fun. I didn't know. Yeah, this is called a crosswalk for us Americans. Well, British people have like nicknames for this. Are they a lot more common or something? Or are you just like having fun giving this like nicknames?
And you have to know the difference between all of them when you're doing your driving test.
Uh, there's differences between these different crosswalks? Like different types of crosswalks have different names. Oh, I don't know anything about that. Thank goodness this is not a thing here. I didn't know there were different types of these crosswalks.
I found that so difficult to remember. They're quite distinctive. One of them, I think zebra crossing is your normal pedestrian crossing.
Okay.
Pelican crossing or toucan crossing, one of them
Pelican? Toucan? Toucan crossing? Like bird? We're talking about birds now?
is the one with the button that you press to wait for the light to flash.
Okay.
The other one is the one that has just the flashing lights and like flashing amber lights but no button. Anyway,
Okay.
there are so many different names, and
Okay.
my mum had a fit of laughter when I told her what they were called because she
I think most Americans would find this funny. This is just normal, like in Britain, apparently. That's what I love about these weird, interesting facts about British culture. British people are probably watching just thinking like, this is normal. Like, what's wrong with you? And like, I don't know, for us Americans, it's just like, what is this stuff? It's so amazing how different our cultures are. It's actually really fun to learn about.
just thought they were all called pedestrian crossing or something like
Yeah.
that. Number 7, the weather is never just right for British people.
Ooh.
It's either too hot or too cold.
What? Like, is this a fact or an opinion? The weather is never perfect in Britain. Is that a fact?
I have never come across people who say the weather is just perfect today, perfect temperature, nothing to complain. You'll
Okay.
always get someone saying, oh, it's just too hot today, or oh my gosh, it's so cold today.
It does feel like that Britain is located geographically on a spot on the planet that gives it a very unique climate where it changes a lot, and then sometimes there's like lots of rain or unpredictability, and maybe there is actually truth to this where it's like no one's actually happy with the weather or it's very rare.
It's so rare to find people saying that the weather is perfect temperature,
Okay.
exactly the temperature that I wanted.
Okay.
Number 8, it's totally normal to have your washing machine fitted in the kitchen.
I've heard about this one. This is the first one that I've heard about before. Washing machine in the kitchen. At first, I thought this was so strange. Because why would you want like your dirty laundry and dirty clothing in the kitchen where you want it to be very sanitary? You have food and stuff. That's what Americans would think first. But then I started thinking, well, there's a lot of stuff in the kitchen that's associated with cleaning things. And a washing machine cleans things. So maybe it makes sense to lump it into that category. I don't know. I thought this was so strange because in America we have we almost usually have a dedicated space or a dedicated room to your laundry machine, and that's normal in America and expected. But I'm starting to come around on this a little bit, I guess, the more I've kind of thought about it.
the UK. And if you're from abroad, you might be thinking, why would you have your washing machine in the kitchen? This
Yeah.
is the place where you wash dishes, not clothes. I don't
Yes.
have an actual answer for that. I can only assume that it's because of the size of the houses here in the UK. Because the country is much smaller
Oh.
than, say, Brazil or America or Australia, you have a lot less space for houses, and houses do tend to be smaller here. So you don't have a huge amount of space
Oh.
for your appliances. And unless you have a utility room, where else would you put your washing machine?
Interesting. That's a really good point. I was wondering if there's an actual reason for this. Why, in British culture, is it that everyone has their washing machine in the kitchen? When did this start? Who did this? It might just be a practical purpose. If because the UK is smaller, certainly compared to the United States, maybe houses are smaller on average. Smaller houses means you have to save room. Put your washing machine in the kitchen next to the dishwasher or something like underneath the sink or that actually makes sense to me. Okay.
My washing machine is in my kitchen. Hopefully one
Huh.
day I'll have a big enough house to have a separate utility room, but at the moment my washing machine lives in my kitchen. Number
Huh.
9, visiting friends without an invitation is considered to be quite rude here in the UK.
That's a funny one. Visiting friends without being invited is rude. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say I think that's also considered rude here in America. The only exception would be if you're family or super close friends and you have established a relationship where you both know you may show up at each other's door at any moment. If you have that kind of relationship, fine, okay. But I think the default is that no one likes to be unexpectedly like surprised by a visitor. I think this is the same here.
And I know some people might comment to say, well, I visit my friends without an invitation all the time, but that's definitely the exception. Most
Yeah.
people do call their friends before visiting them,
Yeah.
and it's just like a common thing here to do. But that's really weird for me because in Brazil,
Ah.
everyone goes to their friend's house without an invitation.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I don't know anything about Brazil. So we're really talking about other cultures other than British culture and American culture. There's other cultures out there in the world. I didn't know this, where the normal thing to do is to show up at your friend's house without being invited. Just show up whenever, and that's normal. Imagine living in that world. I don't know. I would always be on edge a little bit. Like, sometimes you just want to know that you're not going to be disrupted. You know, sometimes you just want to know that it's your home and you're private. You have privacy and you're going to be alone. That's kind of the point of a home, right?
It would be weird if you called your friend to say, I'm just popping over to say hello. I grew up with people coming to
Huh?
my house pretty much every day, all hours of the day, and you'd be in
Really?
the shower, and then there would be a knock on the door, and you'd answer the door, and someone was there to visit for a coffee or something like that. It's very common. As here in the UK, I know a lot of people, and I've done that as well, when you're not expecting a visitor and your doorbell rings, it's that panic of, who is that?
Yeah. Well, it's also even if you're not kind of annoyed that someone is at your door, sometimes you just don't want to be disrupted. You want to do your own stuff at home. That's amazing that there's places like Brazil where the normal thing is that people could be showing up to your house at all hours of the day at any moment. And you just have to grow up and be okay with that. And I guess when it's normal, it's not, it doesn't sound so stressful. But I think for a lot of Brits and Americans, that just sounds stressful.
And I have to admit, I have hidden a couple of times when I didn't know who it was. And yeah, that just shows how much of the British culture I've assimilated since I've lived here.
Right,
I find it a bit bizarre here when people come over without an invitation. And it's not to say
right.
that I don't want visitors, it's just a bit, I don't know, I like the chance to prepare and maybe tidy up a bit of a mess
Yes,
in my
yeah.
house or get dressed
Exactly. Exactly. That's another thing. You're not always prepared to have company over.
properly. But yeah, let me know if you're like that as well, or if you don't mind people turning up without an invitation.
Ugh.
Number 10, tea time means dinner time, not time to drink tea.
What? Oh, wait, what? See, I thought I knew a thing or two about tea in Britain. I've done other videos learning about tea in Britain. It's a whole thing. I thought tea time was its own dedicated tea time, for lack of a better word, during the day in Britain. Tea time actually means dinner? Is that really true? I thought sometimes in Britain people really did take some time during the middle of the day to have some tea and maybe a snack or something. Is this actually true?
This is something that foreigners might get really confused if someone says it's tea time. You're not going to be getting a beverage, you'll be getting a meal. Also, the word dinner is used interchangeably for food. So if someone says, here's your dinner, it just means here's your food, not necessarily this is your dinner meal, like your evening meal.
What? Oh my gosh, this is a lot of food terminology. I had no idea. This is very different in Britain. In America, here in America, dinner means dinner. This is your dinner. This is your evening meal, your food at nighttime. In Britain, dinner can just be a generic word for any food during the day? Really? I've never heard of that one before.
So yeah, tea time is your evening meal in the UK. I'm sorry.
Tea time. British people, please feel free to leave a comment about this. Does tea time mean dinner? Or can it sometimes mean dinner? Or does it always mean dinner? Or can it sometimes mean having some tea during the middle of the day, right? Please, maybe clear up some confusion I'm having about this.
Sorry, the lighting has just gone a bit funny. There's a huge grey cloud going past at the moment, and until it goes, it's going to look a little bit dark. Anyway, I'm just going to carry on, otherwise I'm going to run out of battery on my camera. Number 11, Yorkshire pudding is not a pudding. It's not a dessert, it's a savoury side dish for
Oh my gosh, I get really confused about British pudding. British pudding is not like American pudding. American pudding is always a semi solid, usually chocolate flavored or vanilla flavored pudding, and you eat it with a spoon and almost like ice cream, but it's a semi solid. In Britain, pudding is something else entirely. I would have thought that Yorkshire pudding was a dessert. Pudding just means something else in Britain. Maybe she can clarify this for me.
your food. It's kind of like a dough, crunchy bread-like thing.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! What is See, this looks like a pastry. This is like a muffin or a weird loaf of bread. I don't know. We don't have this in America, as you can tell. Um, oh my god. No American would ever call this pudding. If you showed this to an American, never in a million years would we say, "Oh, that's a type of pudding." That's not what pudding is here in America, but this is pudding in the UK, and it's savory and not even like a dessert.
I'm not describing it very well, but hopefully you'll be able to see it from the picture. But yeah, it's not, if you're expecting a pudding, like a sweet treat, that's not
Yeah.
what a Yorkshire pudding is. It's something that you get with your roast dinner, and
Huh.
it's very tasty. I absolutely love it. And last
Huh.
but not least, number 12, the X at the end of a message, especially a text message in the UK, is a kiss. Now, you might be thinking this is a given because you've
Oh.
seen XO for kisses and hugs.
Yes. this is sort of a thing in America. I want to say that girls probably do this more often, although I'm sure there's some men out there who do this. Putting an X or an O at the end of like a letter or an email or a text. It means like hugs and kisses, right? Is this more common in Britain? I think it might be.
But in the UK, we just send a kiss. Depending on
Oh, you just put an X. So this is almost kind of a thing some people do sometimes in America, but it's usually XO. It's almost, yeah, I think it's always XOXO or something like that. Hug, kiss, hug, kiss. In Britain, it's just an X. It's just a kiss. Okay, got it.
how close you are to the person. It could be one kiss, two kisses, three kisses,
Oh.
loads of kisses. That means you're very, very familiar with that person.
Oh.
I've made the mistake of sending kisses to people that I'm not very close to, and it's always
Oh.
embarrassing when you're drafting a message and you put a kiss and you realize actually I wasn't meant to send a kiss to someone. It was just supposed to be a nice, normal, professional
no.
text message. I looked that one
Oh.
up online, and people seem to be up in arms about the fact that British people put a kiss at the end of their messages.
I don't know why people would be up in arms about this. I don't know why anyone would care. This seems like a very nice, wholesome thing to do. Okay, I don't feel strongly about this.
Especially Americans, it's definitely overused. I know a few people who send kisses at the end of every single message or even in
Ah.
between sentences, like you haven't even finished a text message and there's already 3 or 4 kisses, like breaking up as if they were full stops.
It sounds like this is much more common in Britain. Like most Americans would know what this means, but I would not call it common here.
I do not like that. That's a massive pet peeve for me. But I do tend to put a kiss at the end of a message to people that I know well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would never do that with like professional relationships, an employer or something like that. But for friends and family, I generally do 1 or 2 kisses, sometimes 3 kisses if I know the person really well. But it's just one
Okay.
X. People in the UK don't use XO. It's not.
Oh, you don't use XO, just X. Okay. I don't know. This isn't like a mind-blowing one to me. But I think this is the end of the video here. We're finally at the end. That was a very, very cool, very interesting. There were like 1 or 2 there that I've heard before, but most of this stuff was really interesting, really quite weird from my point of view. But again, weird in a really fun, cool way. I love that America and British culture are really different, and there's a ton of things I do not understand about life in Britain, and this gave me a little insight into some of those things. This video's by Wysis Lorena, and I gotta give this a like because I did enjoy this quite a bit. I think she did a great job identifying really, really specific examples of weird, interesting stuff that happens in British culture that does not happen here. So I feel like I got a little peek behind the curtain here into British life, and that was fun. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these interesting British culture facts or any other things that'd be fun to hear about as well. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture and learning things about Britain, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.